Welcome to another Chess24 Banter Blitz. It's Sunday, 12:30 PM. I'm going to check out the challenges list. So Marcel Kirchner, let's start. Okay. Let's check my sound level, actually. And mute over here. Let's mute over there. Alright, so it's a Sicilian defence. I'm going to stick with the Smith-Morra. I know it's a bit dull to repeat the same thing, but I kind of get... I like the positions I get from the initiative here, and that C-file. I think it's very very dynamic. Very dynamic. Usually getting good positions quite easily without learning tons of theory about the Sicilian. For those that want to investigate... got a bit more base than usual. For those that want to investigate the Smith-Morra gambit, there's a book by Mark Esserman, who I've actually played in bullet chess a bit. Great guy, and he's done a really fantastic book called Mayhem in the Morra. That philosophy, I think I mentioned this before, that philosophy of creating mayhem carries through the whole book about the nature of, what moves he recommends to create mayhem, trouble, chaos, complications, pressure. Okay, so h6 looks a little bit on the odd side. It doesn't contribute to development. I'm first wondering about f7. I can create a battery on f7 here with queen b3. If queen e7, there's knight d5. If queen e6, there's knight c7 check. So how actually does black handle queen b3? I'm going to check this. I think knight a5 I can take and queen d5. So queen e7, knight d5. Yeah, this looks to be out of place, especially when playing against a gambit. I think I can gain a key tempo here with knight d5. So I'm hitting c7 now. Okay, there's queen d6. But again, the queen doesn't really want to be the subject of target practice for tempo gains. I have blocked that diagonal, though. I'm wondering if, let's see, this position, yes, maybe black's getting away with it if I'm not careful. But maybe bishop e3, that's one of black's best pieces. I can consider taking with the f-pawn. Or I can renew the threat with bishop takes, knight takes. We go back to queen f6. And is there any differences? Well, one difference might be knight f5. Okay, that's interesting. Now, the bishop might be a target here. If I just play... I think I'm going to use this one to keep this one for c1. I'm wondering if that bishop is a target. Okay, this diagonal seems sensitive now. I'm wondering about bishop c5, just to stop black trying to castle kingside. Okay, let me see. Bishop. If my bishop drops back. Actually, there's knight c7 and bishop f7 mate. I've just realised a bit too late. No, it's not mate. It's not mate. Queen takes gives the king d8. Yeah, knight c7, queen takes, bishop f7. It's not mate. King d8. But it's something to be borne in mind. Knight takes again. The queen gives the king a flight square on d8. But it is looking like a very dangerous position. So again, the same with knight c7, giving the king a flight square. Okay, now here, well, that is interesting. Is there any way to punish this awkward looking position? Maybe knight takes e5 is simple and strong, because takes, then there's bishop takes e7, kind of checkmating the queen. If takes here, well, it looks too strong to resist this move. It looks as though the bishops are really ferocious on these diagonals, especially with that knight on d5. Now, it looks as though knight f6 takes, bishop takes f7. Then we've got a pin here. Alright, it looks as though this should be kind of really good. But how good? Alright, so knight f6 takes, bishop takes f7, king f8. Isn't there knight g6 there? Because the knight's kind of pinned. Am I hallucinating this? Knight f6 takes, bishop takes. Here, knight g6 is mate. Now, what if king f8? Yeah, this could be getting me in trouble. King f8. That's the problem. I don't want to be put in trouble too much with my pieces like hanging everywhere. If we go back to knight c7, queen takes, bishop takes, king d8, I can't see too much there at the moment. But knight f6 is obviously a good try. King f8. Knight. The thing is, you run the risk of losing on time trying to work out stuff. On king f8, what about if I just played knight takes d7 check? At minimum, if we establish a base minimum for this combination, knight takes d7 seems okay. So king f8. Alright, so taking, bishop takes, king f8, knight g6, I believe is checkmate. But otherwise, I think I should take on d7. I'm really running my time resources down, trying to get this combination working. But it's so good, these bishops. It feels as though I should be using the time to justify the position, to kind of celebrate the position. Okay, so let's go with knight takes d7. That was my base minimum. If we look at other base minimums, bishop takes f7, g takes. I'm wondering about this as the base minimum continuation, because it runs with check. It's taking material with check, which I've recently mentioned on my own channel, that if you can take material with check, it really does trump just taking material. If you can do it with check, then that's really cool. So this is running with check. It's going to be leading to this pin on e7. In fact, king g8, knight f6 is check and then check, winning the queen here. Yeah, I'm running the risk of losing on time with all this, but this is very, very forcing now. Knight f6 and rook takes d8 is winning that queen. So now I can actually, maybe I can just play bishop takes e7. That's pretty good. Or I can take that rook. Oh, I don't need to give the queen back, really. That's another thing. What about just here? I don't need to give the queen back immediately. But only 40 seconds. I'm running the risk of losing on time. There's bishop takes h2 to win that rook there. Maybe after bishop takes h2, king takes, a rook takes, I've got queen g3. That's a little trap now. Yeah, I can't take on there. Whoops, 35 seconds. Now we're in an emergency. I'm in an emergency of 35 seconds. I tried to play accurately, but I'm feeling the downside now. A little bit. Okay. 33 seconds. I've lost that rook there. That wasn't too clever, I gotta say. Alright. 25 seconds. 24. I've got to keep track of the number of seconds I'm using now. Trying to open up this diagonal. Run a rook, that helps. I think that does help dramatically. Bishop b4, bishop f6. 20 seconds. Alright, closing in. Queen e8, rook c8. It's good if you're good at bullet. Let's take that off to simplify. A few pre-moves, trying to avoid stalemate. a few pre-moves down to 11 seconds. Yeah, it's sometimes bad to overcalculate in 5 minutes. The time really just goes. The time flies. It really does. It's a very dangerous thing to try and be a perfectionist in 5 minutes. Try and look at these calculations. But the thing is, I felt as I was doing a sort of injustice to the position if I didn't play. Try and find an accurate continuation there. Thanks for the game. Okay. So another Smith Morra, but yeah, I think that was pushing the boundaries of blitz a bit. I think the emphasis really trying to play a practical game, like reasonable moves most of the time, not being in time pressure, so the quality later on doesn't suffer. But yeah, there was some resources there from the opponent, like Bishop H2, that needed. It was very difficult to calculate all that, I think. But anyway, let's see. This game is a different flavour of the Smith Morra. Okay. Now this is a big time usage here. What is going on here? Okay, Queen A4 check now is going to be winning a piece, isn't it? Because I've just had that C6 square. I was wondering, before there would be Knight C6, but here I can just take that. So Bishop D7, Queen takes B4, Knight C6. I'm just going to take that. Yeah, I think this is a little bit odd to have this bishop. This loose piece here is tactical liabilities. I did an article many years back about tactics, and initially I thought, oh, the article, when I reviewed it a few months back, I thought maybe it wasn't that good. And then I think about it again, and I think it actually is quite good, because I emphasised like trying to intuitively see tactical vulnerabilities, and sometimes I think you can do that in some positions, and sometimes I think it's just a forcing move. You have to get on with just calculating, right? But actually, I think as human beings, if we can use our trump cards over machines, which is this intuition, this visual, to the maximum, then I think, yeah, we're not doing ourselves a disservice. I think to be able to try and use our visuals as much as possible. If we spot there's a loose piece, an unprotected piece, then later that can be used to direct and navigate the forcing moves, prioritize the forcing moves, because they're the easiest to calculate. I think that's pretty cool. I'm finding that recently in solving puzzles, that actually that step, trying to maximize the use of our intuition, just to help navigate the tactical complexities, is really cool. But loose pieces is a huge one. If there are loose pieces in position, if you can notice that before even checking any move, any calculations, don't calculate it first. Just feel it, feel the position, feel the vulnerabilities. And also I've noticed in a lot of puzzles recently, just the basics of things, how batteries. I've been thinking philosophically about batteries recently. How if you have two rooks doubled or a bishop and a queen behind it, that the battery concept doesn't just help the first piece of the battery, but also the second, for huge tactical, opportunities. So if you can feel the strength of your own batteries intuitively, then that's really cool. Okay, so here I can take on d4, keeping a blockade, because there's some puzzles like this recently. They're like battery focused with a bishop and a queen behind it, or two rooks, and it's either the first piece or the second piece, which within the same scope of squares is creating tactical opportunities. It's just good to revisit the tactical stuff. But okay, I've got a weakened back row at the moment. It sounds my opponent, we haven't made air for our king that much. If I do create a battery here, I think the position's fairly stable. My opponent's pawn is locked here, blockaded. Let's both create some air for the king. Okay, so how to proceed from here? Well, the d5 d5 looks vulnerable. I wonder if I can just play bishop f4. So knight takes, I can play pawn takes, and battery helps to keep the pieces protected at least as well. Here. And okay, it's nice to be material up with good clock here, good clock in this position. I wonder if the rook can swing. Okay, so if the rook can swing, get out of being attacked, I think if it swings to g3, then g7 is going to be something. There's also ready-made bishop takes h6 there as well. So let's see. Threatening mate. If g6, bishop takes h6, threatens mate again. It looks very comfortable basically in this position. Very comfortable. Do I need to sack? Not necessarily, but let's just tease, just by a free method, just keep undermining this king side for the moment. Does it matter about the queen's exchange off? I can actually play queen f6 here, because if queen f4, well, I've got the rook. I don't think I'll play queen f6. Let's keep the queens on. Also, I can just play queen takes queen, of course, because of that pin. But another thing I've noticed is even when getting into the nitty-gritty of calculation, phase of the game check mode, one thing I've strongly noticed, when you look at any forcing moves, I've noticed it's good to try and consciously say, well, what weakness of the last move is created by the forcing move. That really helps navigate as well in the nitty-gritty part of trying to find any combination. Okay, I'm playing a Nimzo Indian here. I'm hoping this is going to be okay with knight a6 takes c5 line. I'm wondering if b6 bishop b7 is okay here. Trying to control that e4 square. Could parry the bishop on g2. I wonder rook c8 just to put some pressure on that c file in advance. c4 might feel some vulnerability. Bishop might be loose on b7 later. If I castle, there might be a knight g5 tactic because the queen's looking at h7. I don't think my opponent wants double pawns. Okay, it's taken away from h7. I wonder if a5 or not bother. Bishop g5 actually might run into knight e4 if I want that dark square bishop. So I'm hitting the queen, I'm hitting c4. So this does mean, okay, this means, actually this is quite interesting for knight takes c3, because bishop takes, knight takes e2 check, then I take the bishop. That is hopefully not a piece down, if I'm not completely getting this wrong. If it's not a piece down, I might actually be a pawn up. Yes, I seem to be a pawn up, but the knight's a little bit stranded. I think I've got an evacuation procedure on rook e1 in that I can play bishop takes f3, bishop takes f3, knight d4, hitting still, well, the bishop and c4 might be winning a second pawn. This has been a very forcing turn of events from bishop g5, actually. Very, very forcing turn of events. Can I win c4 without losing a piece? It's getting a little bit scary, the knight, I must admit. The knight's not pegged down. I'm going to dare, I think. I'm hoping not to lose material with this move. Alright, I'm thinking I have takes anyway for knight d4 again. If I can hold the knight a bit firmer, hitting the bishop here, b3, I can take that. Alright, that's not scary. Otherwise, I'm probably losing d4 or the exchange. If b3 was actually nudging the rook away, then I'd have to lose like the exchange. But actually, fortunately, I have knight takes b3. Oh, okay, I can play e5 here, fortunately, because I think rook takes e5, knight takes f3. I unpin with e5. So takes with unpin, then knight takes f3. You can consider tactics like rook d7, but I can ignore that. I don't have to be back row mated. I think I can just do no, there isn't rook takes d7. Yes, there is. Yes, there is. But anyway, f5 here looks good. I thought it did anyway. Not so good now after that, because the pin's still in place. Muppets, the pin is still in place. Right, try and minimise the damage of my position just playing d6. Now, there's almost bishop e6. Oh, there is bishop e6. Okay, very funny. I have to think about this. Oh man. Okay. Is d5 possible? d6. There's bishop e6. King f8. There's rook e5. King f7. If takes, there's king f6. I'm going to go for this. I seem to be getting into a mess here after that f5 move. That was a mistake. Get into a tactical mess. Oh. Okay, do I survive with any trump cards at all in the position? That's the question now. Rook e5, knight f5. I've got a d pawn to push. And it's going to be lost after rook e5. Oh, I've got nothing. Actually, I have got something, but it's a pawn down, but the king's restricted. It's a bit of a sad turn of events there. If my king can get into f3, it'll be good. Yeah. My only thing that I'm thinking now is the king can be pretty good. Let's actually try and get the king in to f3. I'm going to end up dropping material. I didn't do too well with the extra material, so I'm going to try and play for the maximum dynamic aspect, being material down now. Try and push my dynamic factor compensation for being material down. If I can get my king to f3, it's pretty menacing, I think. Okay, keep this pawn. There's that check on d3. And get some material back. This pawn's a runaway pawn, isn't it? I shouldn't have allowed this runaway pawn. Can I actually play rook f2? Oh, no, hold on a sec. What I have got here, actually interesting, is a 2-1 pawn majority. This might be a new kind of trump card to try and make use of. 2-1 pawn majority. b5, a5, b4, ab, ab. Try and make use of this. It's got to play what you've given. So okay, okay, I'll try and just create this pass pawn here. Or this is a bit of a train wreck of a game, actually. Oh, I can't help think from earlier how I messed this up. Okay, but anyway, let's try and not lose the rook to rook e3. Maybe h4 to try and blunt these pawns. If I can if I can fragment these pawns. Oh. This is the danger pawn, the f pawn at the moment. But has it been? Is this been not too carefully done with the f pawn? I think it's been lost here, which puts me back in the game. With an outside pass pawn is dangerous. I'm going to have to play for a win here. I'm going to protect this guy. I'm going to try for rook c1 actually. If he's not careful. Rook c1 in 7 seconds. I don't want to lose my pawn. Okay, I think this is home and dry now. A dramatic game. Let's try not to stalemate. It's the final punchline of the game. If I just take that pawn and just try not to stalemate now, which happens a lot when low on time actually, more frequently than one can think. Okay. Oh, the total score is 1-0. There's an ambiguity there because 1-0 usually means white won. It's a bit worrying to see 1-0. It usually means white won. I've just been looking at that for a moment. Okay, yeah, that was a roller coaster of a game. Anyway, so oh man. Okay. Oh dear. Okay, anyway, yeah. Alright, so I'm playing the exchange French, but with a difference, with this early c4, which I claim makes it more interesting. That's the claim. I don't know about this h3. When I've played h3, doesn't look right actually. Does I need to play h3? Anyway, it's done. It's done. Maybe knight e5. I think with the knight on e7. Alright. Bishop e3, queen b3. I'm on f7. Can I just snap that off? Oh, there's knight f7. Almost knight f7. Takes queen b3. Except there's knight d5 protecting the bishop here. If I just snap that bishop off, I've got an idea here to put my bishop on g2 to cover the weaknesses. I know this is crazy, but I like the idea of covering the weaknesses here. This is a backward development move, but if I'm covering the weaknesses and protecting the rook, yeah, bishop f7 I think fells to queen. Okay, the problem is I've got this slight problem. The isolated queen's pawn. He's got a nice blockade square on d5, so I don't think my bishop pair is that great actually. But I thought it was a cute idea, so I've played it. The bishop going to g2. Oh, by the way, sorry, I've got a bit of creep on the webcam. Hold on, if I move that to the left. What's happening here on the webcam? Sorry about that. Just noticed. I'm going to try and fix that. Let me see on my dynamic view. Have I made it worse? Okay, it looks okay on my dynamic view. Try and fix that in a moment. Just keep the queens on. Oh, that's a bit better. Sorry about that. I should have been checking my webcam. Okay, sorry about the aesthetics there. Okay, so engrossed in the games. So engrossed in the games. that right. It's a beautiful blockade. I got to say on d5. Unfortunately, for me, can I disrupt it? I wonder if I can disrupt it. So I put a pawn there instead of a piece with g5. I know this doesn't look like an ideal position in many respects, because I've got a weakened f4 potentially. I just want to stop a piece blockade, because with a piece blockade, frontal pressure on d4 can be exerted later at any time as an option. If there's a pawn there, it kind of shields my d4 pawn. If I can put a pawn there instead of a piece, I'm shielding my d4, at least from a frontal attack. So let's imagine knight h5, knight takes d5, c takes. I'm not sure I gain anything from actually that position too much. It might actually be better to play bishop f3 and knight f4 though. Okay. Let's see this position. Really, I don't want to win d5. I just want a bit of coziness to my position. If he takes on d2, I want my pawn shielded, and I want maybe to have the option of bishop takes h5, and maybe rook g1, g6, or maybe rook g1, g4. I'm not interested in giving my opponent roaring counterplay by taking on d5. What I am interested in here is increasing the coziness of the position. So how can I do that? When I say coziness, I don't just mean not having unprotected pieces or potentially unprotected pieces. I mean like key squares covered, like f4. Now maybe I can achieve that with bishop e3 here. And if bishop d6, queen d2, oh, there's knight g3. Bishop e3 that runs into knight g3 check. And it's not very cozy. I could sacrifice the exchange now. I think I'm going to do that. I know it's crazy, but I think I'm going to sack the exchange on knight g3. I'm going to play king g2. The reason I'm thinking of doing that is because the knight's a right pain there tactically on h5. I end up with a bishop here. Right, let's try and stop knight f4. You can still play knight g3. We're going to an endgame takes if I want to take, but king g2 is interesting. Bishop pair compensation. Knight g3, king g2, knight takes. The way I look at that position is I've got the bishop pair and d5 is vulnerable. If I can win a pawn after being the exchange down, I think the upward trend is good there in that position. Because with the bishop pair and the pawn, say I have the extra pawn in the centre with the bishop pair, I think I can do stuff from that position. It's more prospects. The upward trend is better. All right, now here, can I not just use the G file? Finally activating this rook. All right, can we get the queen over here? Okay, that's interesting. I think this is definitely a lot better than experiencing the pain of knight g3. Okay, so rook takes g6. I can't see what's wrong with that pawn. Is it a poison pawn? Can I not just take that and maybe king g2, rook g1? Alright, so king g2 holds h3 with the king. My rook's now activated, so there's also, I don't know, I can double correct battery there, king h2. There's always a check with bishop d6. And not king h1. Okay, it's a little bit tricky. But even here, I think I can take a lot of pressure from this position. Yeah. Okay. Thanks for the game, Kaz. Disto. Hi there. I might try D4 against you. D4 is when I'm slightly worried. When I'm really worried, I might play C4 against someone. When I'm truly terrified, I might consider really strange stuff like B3. Nah, just kidding. I don't know. So I'm going to play, waiting for all this though to take the pawn, which he hasn't. In which case, I can try and play for E4. Alright, can take and then yeah, do that. If I play this, I know this plan is very thematic quite often in Slav lines, but here it seems less destructive than it might be in other lines because my king Fianchetto is very good. There's a grandmaster that has written a whole series on openings featuring a Fianchetto. Avruk, I've got it somewhere. I never really read them. Didn't get time. But he bases entire repertoire on. Oh, there's Bishop E6. No, not yet Bishop E6. I can tell you. On the Fianchetto systems, Boris Avruk. Who I've seen actually play in the London Classic FIDE Open. He actually lost an interesting game against Simon Williams. Bishop G4 F3. But anyway, he's got this whole repertoire for the Fianchetto systems. Now, here, okay, so D takes. Yeah, it's interesting because I was wondering. Oh, this is really dangerous. Hang on, this pin. Have I got that move? Wow, this is really dangerous. Right. It's pinned, of course. Can I play Rook C1? It's getting scary for C4. That is a vulnerability. I'm wondering, Rook D8. Is he winning a piece with Rook D8? I have to play Rook D1. I can't afford Knight takes C5. Queen takes. Can I? Let's sanity check that. Rook D8, Knight takes, Queen takes. Can I not play Rook D1 there? Maybe that is possible. Actually, Queen F2 is possible to unpin. I think this might be possible. Queen F2. No, there's Knight D3. Okay. This pin is a bit of torture, isn't it? This pin. I have to try and unpin. Not yet losing a piece. Queen F2, I think, remarkably disastrous after Knight D3. Alright, can I unpin here? So I've got a pin. I'm counterpinning now. I'm threatening Knight takes and Rook takes. This is quite a pin thematic game now. We've entered the pin episode of the game. So Knight takes. Alright. Maybe not entirely clever. I'm keeping this bishop. Oh wait, I'm wondering about bishop f6 without knight e6 as an option. Example, knight b3. Oh, the queen can go to e7. Right, now what's that about? I think taking on e6 is mildly interesting because of bishop h3, actually. Like, I've got to worry about f3 though when I do that. Rook d1, rook d1. Yeah, that one. Okay. No, not sure. Not sure what I'm doing here. Rook c3. e5. e5, knight d5. Queen e4. Where does e5 lead? Is this making it worse? Would I have... I wouldn't have rook d3 because queen takes c1. So knight d5 is slightly scary. I wonder if I have f4 for queen h5. My position is creaking here. Creaking. It's creaking. But how badly? If I play f4, queen h5, I don't think I ever get time to do much after that because of queen f3. What about f5? These knights are a menace. Queen h5 here. At least he's shielded. Okay. I can pin f5, g4. There's knight f4. But then queen f3, knight d5, bishop d4. I think g4 is another pin here as well as here. Let me see if I can get in f5. That's the idea. Now knight f4 I can take here, protecting h3. Trying to just open up some lines. Oh, knight f4 is too dangerous, right? Knight f4, queen takes e3 maybe. Knight takes h3. Bishop g2. Hope for the best. You can take with the queen. If he takes with the knight, take the queen. This ending is miserable. Losing a pawn over there. That's interesting. You could have just transitioned an ending there. That's... I think I've got rook f3 in this position after queen f5. Although there's queen b1. No, queen f5, queen b1. It's still too dangerous. Yeah, I think queen f5 was possible. Trying to at least get some coordination here with bishop f5 threatened. I centralize. Oh, there's knight g3. No, rook g3 protects the bishop. Queen e3 here looks possible. And there's queen d5 check. Queen d5. I'll take that. That's him out for my king or not. Rook e3. Trying to hold d5 for a moment. It's scary. Stop knight f2. What? That's terrified because I'm holding d5 right now. Then blunt the rook. Alright, don't mind this. It is a few pawns, but the time situation and everything. Oh. Yeah, it was a really bad game by me. No, a really good game by the opponent. No, really good. I mean, really good tactically. Really good tactically. Really good. Trying to get me away from d5. I felt huge tactical pressure. There were loads of positions here where I can just get murdered. I can get absolutely murdered here. Here's one position where I thought that maybe I'm thinking wrong. I thought rook f8. No, actually, why didn't I just... Hey! On this though, why didn't I just take on e3 here? Hold on a sec. Where's the engine thing? Play from this position. I don't know. I was slightly worried here. So maybe I'm this. For some reason, I was worried about rook f8. What? This was weird. I must admit, this is a bit of a weird, frightened game. I think I was legitimately concerned here about queen d5 check, right? My queen's hanging. As an example, like this, as an example, is, well, just a bad ending. Lucky. I was lucky. Okay, well played. Oh, okay. Mega lucky. Right. Now, it's a very dangerous opponent. I'll try and keep to a pet line. Or not. b6. Trying to extinguish some counterplay. It's sort of pet line against Benko Gambit. I give up that b6 pawn and try and get a knight on c4. So bishop f4, bishop g3. Holding b2 at the moment. I don't want to have a clock deficit on a 3-minute game particularly. Try and keep a fast pace. Bishop g3. Okay, can I do this? I'm sort of happy with the position at the moment. Get away from the diagonal. Knight b5 is a standard sort of plan. Let's get to d4. Can I actually play with bishop d1? Knight b5, f4, knight d4, bishop d1. Just trying to play for e5. I know knight b3 is a plan. Knight b3 there. If I go like this, let me see this position with bishop g4. Trying to weaken my light squares. Instead, I'll try and keep them intact. Knight b5. Maybe I can just play rook a e1 to avoid this knight d4, knight b3. So I want to play for e5. Knight d4, e5. e5 here. Or bishop h4. Maybe bishop h4. Try and keep that dark square bishop. Some pressure on e7. I think e5 coming up. Pressure on e7. Okay, e5 blunts at least the bishop on g7. I'm wondering about h3, weakening the dark squares. Okay, is bishop e4 any good? Bishop c2 with tempo. Bishop c2 with tempo. Holds d5. Wondering about d6. My position's stable there. Knight d6 might be interesting, but e5 is weakened. Okay. Let's try and play for g4 to try and win a piece. Is that too much? Too much ambition. Don't know about that. There's queen h2 without knight g3. Okay, rook e2 or bishop e2. Oh, hang on, start falling apart. Maybe bishop e2. Oh, Gordon Bennett. Okay, it gets a bit scary now. I lost a bit of time there trying to establish what is going on. Knight e4. No, I think I've got too many weaknesses. Rook f2, queen e1, queen knight g3. Wins the exchange back. Rook f2, queen f2, knight g3. Alright, let me cover g3 here with tempo. Can I get around his king? What about just playing bishop takes h5? That queen's hanging, isn't it? Formidable opponent who I really respect. Anakin, tactically everything, a brilliant opponent. Thank you, Anakin. On this occasion, I was the lucky bunny, but I think you could just get the exchange back because I think, you know, when you played rook b2, it looked to me that you had at least to get the exchange back as the option. You've exposed my king. I think you can just play rook takes f2. So if I take, I lose the rook, and if I take with the queen, knight g3, I think my e5 is falling apart. Everything's falling apart here with the knight being loose. I think just like this, as an example. Although I'm still okay here. Knight f7. Okay, maybe I'm okay. On this occasion, I was a lucky bunny. I can only say that. On this occasion, it's equal on the match score, on our little virtual match score. Okay, hi Zenfrog. Okay, so I'm going to play a slow plan of e5 without knight h6, f6, knight f7, because sometimes that runs into an early c4, opening up the diagonal. The way I want to play the e5 plan, because my pawn majority is in the center, I want to play it. I think a more safer route to playing it is around here to play f6, knight f7, e5, rather than the other way, okay, which I used to play. Okay, let's disregard that now, because this is very strange now, the h pawn. I'm not used to using the h pawn here in this particular opening, but I'm used to trying to play for e5. Right now here, maybe there's knight h4 coming up. Can I get away with that? What is knight h4? Let's see. Maybe I just play e5 anyway. I'm trying to use my central pawn majority. Knight h4. If I have to say goodbye to the light square bishop, then that's the case. So knight h4, e5. So I want to play for e5 and e4, I think. I mean that. So yeah. Okay, the diagonal is still sensitive here. Can I put the bishop on f7? I'm holding b7. He could take. I guess he could take and then take b7. Alright, I really wanted to play for e5, but it's put on hold at the moment. I can still win this pawn. I'm wondering if I should play rook b8 now. I can play e5 here. Not really. Alright, let's take this slow. Rook e8 and then e5. You could double up on the e file to stop in the e5. Alright, this is interesting. Play on the king side. Maybe slightly controversial, the weaknesses that have been created. Can I do it now? Because if I can get in e4, it's like, it looks to be like winning a piece potentially. Because even I'm hitting the queen there on knight takes. On bishop takes. Again, I'm hitting the queen. Yeah, I'm not convinced at the moment by this stuff to establish these pawns. Okay, on rook takes, there's knight takes. I don't have to lose the knight on d6, which I've just done. Oh, I just realised I've just done that. I've just lost the knight on d6. Muppets. Oh, I didn't need that. I didn't need that to do that. Oh well. It's done. It's done. Okay. Have I got rook e2? Is that pawn going to be surrounded? Yeah. Try and not lose d3 too quickly. And bring my king to the center or something. Oh, why don't I take this pawn? Oh no. I'm missing some things here. Missing some tricks. Could have taken that pawn, surely. Can I try and win that pawn again? With knight e6. Oh, I'm missing tricks. Oh. Alright, what's happening here? I got to get rid of these pawns. These are scary as passed pawns, actually. I'm being dismantled here on the centre, but these pawns are going. h5, h4. I've got the two connected passed pawns as my trump card. H5 is possible here. I'm not losing g6 yet. I'll stop knight g3. Right, again a tempo. Right, maybe I'll put bishop on h1 if it's attacked again. h3 here. g5 is protected at the moment. Okay, I wonder. If takes h2. Knight e4. I'll do something with this knight. Knight f3 to try and unblockade. Okay, try and unblockade, I think. These pawns, maybe bishop e1, g3. Can I bring my... Well, this looks good, doesn't it? Yeah, the trump card of the two connected passed pawns. Alright, thanks for the game, Zenfrog. Yeah, I was... okay, Fenneman. Hi there. Oh, sorry, trump card. Pardon me. Sorry. Yeah, I thought. Yeah, I wasn't trying to be funny. I was using sometimes the term trump card before. Yeah. Okay. The recent events. It's. I'm not trying to mix politics with chess. Honestly, I'm not trying that hard. I could find an alternative expression. Use my advantage. Well, if anyone can tell me an alternative expression to trump cards, please let me know. Okay, I know the political spectrum is divided. People are pretty divided at the moment about things in all sorts of ways. I don't want to add to that division, so just let me know an alternative expression, and I'll try and use it. If there's a very famous. He sometimes plays chess, called Hutch, famous guy, and he's showing his political stuff. He's American. I'm not American either, but he does get a lot of obviously mixed reactions. It's something you don't really want to mix on chess videos necessarily to do that. Okay, but anyway, let's change the subject. Okay, so bishop takes b2. Let's put a knight on a... Sorry, I'm a bit blocked up. Sorry. I just need to do something. Hold on a sec. Pardon me. I'm sorry about this. Sorry, I have been suffering a bit of a cold this week. I'll do this away from the camera to spare you guys. Okay. Right. Pardon me. So some extra sound effects have been added to this blitz banter on this occasion. For free. I wonder if I can double on I wonder if I can double on the C file. Okay. One weakness of that move is the F5 square. Do I dare? What about playing knight C? Also, D5 is weakened actually. What about if I hit D5? I'm wondering E6 if I can just take that because my knight and queen are on there. I'm wondering if D5 is vulnerable here. If I play, the thing is, if I play e takes, I'm getting rid of that potential structural liability. Am I getting mated? That's the question. Don't think so. I don't need f6 control urgently. So if I can take the pawn away from that e file, also it does hold the e5 square. So I think overall, swings and roundabouts. I think overall this could be a good idea to take. Because it does control the e5. I've weakened f6. It takes the pawn away from that file where it could be a target. I've still got an ambition to win d5, but the d6 pawn under it is a concern. I could snatch d5 and let d6 go, because I've got knight f4. So variation, knight takes, rook here, knight f4. Rook d6, and I've got potentially bishop f3 there, doubling the pawns. I think I'm gonna risk knight takes d5. Let's see, the doubling, is it all that? I mean, if I lose d6, I lose d6. What about, as an example, rook d1, knight f4, rook d6, queen g4. If h3, knight h3, and queen f3. Having a knight on f4 is like an attacking player's friend. Kasparov has often said, with white, his f5 knight, he likes it, and as black, he likes it on f4. It's a nice knight to have around the opponent's king generally. Bishop takes f3 is immediately threatened. On h3, I think I can just take, and then if takes queen f3, there's no bishop g2 there. Although I'm not threatening mate, that's pretty good news. Surely this position is pretty good news. Queen takes f3. There's no bishop g2, otherwise that would be a skewer against my bishop. Given there's no bishop g2, I'm on f2. I've fragmented the pawns, and that's good. If you can fragment pawns, then they're kind of easier to attack from different directions. Okay, now there's no queen h1. Queen, I can just simply go back to f4 again, I think. And then maybe, actually rook c1 is good, pinning the bishop. Maybe taking and then knight e6. Okay. I can do this, I think. Try and go back into f4. I can play also rook c1 to pin that bishop. Okay, so rook c1. It's nice to have a pin. h5 could nudge that knight away from the bishop if he's not careful. Bishop exchanges off, otherwise... Oh, that's a hanging piece. Okay, thanks for the game, Panaman. Okay, by the way, I would like to apologise for last week. I'm actually only scheduled for an hour and a half, by the way, so you don't want to have been doing over 2-hour sessions. I do actually care, in general, about trying to meet all challenges within time constraints. But the popularity of the show has been increasing, and the queue's been gigantic, and so sometimes I do coaching sessions after, but in general I do really care about the queue of challenges. I assure you, I try and provide, not just some entertainment, but try and meet that queue. Yeah, and I was. Yeah, I admit sometimes I get a little bit ahead of myself in a competitive sense and wanted a rematch, but it was after the 1.5 hours last week. I hope none of you are too offended. I hope you can forgive me for last week for the rematch. It was after the 1.5 hours of the official show. So one. Let me know. 1 if you forgive me, or 2, or to 10 if you're just annoyed by last week. I felt also I had started that game late. If you remember, there was a game I started. It was just 3 minute. I just would like to apologise if anyone was upset. There was one person in the queue, and I was hoping to actually get back to him after that match. Remember, it was like 3 minute. So mathematically speaking, 3 minute games, they're much quicker than 5 minute. So I was hoping to, but I did overindulge with the second rematch for sure. I overindulged. It's the purpose of the session is not just for me to try and improve my rating and crush all you guys. I'm trying to play in a fun way and trying to provide some entertainment. Some of you enjoyed the rematch, but there's two different versions of this video basically, and that happens for the last few months. There's two different versions. There's the one which I shouldn't read the comments, which is the one on the Chess24 channel, because when I do, I'm just generally getting completely slagged off from every single direction. I mean, seriously, I get completely, and I shouldn't read the comments, and I try not to, and I'm glad some people did actually try and put things in context for last week. The other version of the video, it helps Chess24 marketing, by the way. The other version of it hardly gets any dislikes, and I don't get all these people all of a sudden taking objection with every single thing I do or don't do. But that's the way it is. It's supposed to be like blitz banter. For some people, banter means, to have fun with it, to sometimes break the rules to have fun. But some people, I don't know if they're getting it or it's just trolling, but I just want to apologise if anyone was really offended. The thing is, with good trolling, it's like you don't actually know if someone's actually being genuine about it, about an issue raised. But if there was an issue raised from last week for the rematch, I would like to officially apologise for last week's rematch. As I say, in my defence, it was on the 3 minute time control, which is faster to finish, and I hadn't started. Oh, there's 92 winning the queen. There's 92 winning the queen here. I hadn't started that game in time. Yeah, I missed 92 winning the queen. So I apologise. It won't happen again. I'll try and keep my ego under control. And yes, I think for me, chess has been a kind of self-esteem thing. Actually, it helps people's self-esteem to win. Is that a terrible thing? I'm not entirely sure. When you win, you feel good. Generally, I mean, there's the sporting aspect of chess. It's not just a scientific game. Let's face it. We're interested in our ratings, in our, it's nicer to win, isn't it? Because we're human, right? And it's not a negative thing necessarily to have an ego with the game. It's what drives. I think that's actually why men are more competitive about it, perhaps, than women potentially, because I think as men we're more egocentric, right? I mean, we're just human, right? And okay, so that's I wasn't sure if I was going to mention it, but okay, let's not carry on about it. Okay, I'll try and not do the rematches. I think the book review is less. If there's an added bonus on a book review, that's less controversial. Okay, thanks very much. Hope you understand. Okay, knight d3. Knight takes rook h1. Okay, queen h6, queen h2. No, this is a nasty pin. I could have won the queen earlier. Okay, knight e2 or knight d3. Knight d3, rook h1, king h1. No, he's holding f1. He's holding f1. Okay. I need to do something with this rook over here, I think. I need to get back in the game, even if I'm losing this knight. It's not a clever thing to lose this knight. I think he just snapped this knight off. It's not some magical combination here, I believe. It's just me losing a knight in a nutshell. Unfortunately, he's not letting me connect my rooks. Let me connect my rooks, please. Let me connect my rooks. Leave my rooks alone. I might actually be getting Queen D4, and that's vaguely of interest, to have the possibility of Queen D4. But essentially, I've lost the piece, and I could have won the Queen earlier. I'll try and disregard these two facts, that I've lost the piece and could have won the Queen earlier. Okay, Bishop G4. Do I worry about the ending? I don't think I do. My king could come to f5. Am I getting mated? I think it's too dangerous, king going to f5. But I wanted to keep hold of the e5 pawn. But is it worth the king going into the firing line? It's a terrible decision to have to make. King f5, bishop c2. I think it's fundamentally losing for me. Whatever happens. So, what's the plan? So anyway, let's go into a self-mate. Oh, Gordon Bennett. I'm going to go into a self-mate at this rate. Bishop c2 and knight h4. How is my demise going here? Oh, that wasn't... Okay, let's try something different. Just trying to win on time now. It's down to that winning on time thing. If I have a piece down here, but it's not totally lost, if the opponent has only 10 seconds and it's not increment chess, then there's always a chance. Now, if it's increment chess and they're a GM, then generally there's less of a chance. Okay. Rook G3. Get some more time on the clock. In fact, there's a pass pawn. If I'm not getting mated, this f pawn could be handy. Okay, I'm sorry about that. Yeah, I mean, okay. Let's go on to another one. Okay. Let's see. I don't know why I'm playing Nimza Engine, actually. No idea. I quite like the King's Engine, but let's go with Nimzo. This one. Nimzo. It's a bit of variety, I guess. Bit of variety. Now with the only b6, it seems a bit cheeky to play the b6, but in a way it's kind of logical just to control e4. I mean, maybe it's tactically flawed. I'm aware of the loose rook immediately. It can't be tapped into just yet, the diagonal. So I'm wondering if this b6 is an idea. It looks fairly standardish looking. Go back into a hedgehog position with bishop e7, d6, and trying to play it like a hedgehog. Now, from a Nimzo engine to a hedgehog, I don't know if anyone is not aware of the hedgehog term, but it's describing this kind of structure where like the hedgehog is like prickly and difficult to squash. Not that I've squashed any hedgehogs, right? Ever? No, I don't think I have. So I'm just saying the hedgehog formation is this kind of formation. I don't know. They have some funny names for formations. Okay, I don't want to weaken the dart squares too much. So can I play knight e5, rook c8? So knight e5, rook c8, and then that c4 could be a lot of fun later. I could have doubled pawns as well. Could have won the exchange. Okay, this is the point I'm going to start hitting myself. Kingscrusher, wake up! Sorry, just take the rook, or double the pawns or something. Okay, let's get back into the actual position. In the position, there's actually a thing called the finesses of the position, which I'm not taking into account at the moment, apart from vaguely the c4 pawn. Okay, can I try and take a few little finesses into account here? Okay, the c4 pawn, the c file. Right, the a rook. I'm looking at the a1 rook. Okay, I'm looking at this c4 pawn. Okay. Oh dear. Okay. Can I not just win f3? I can win it with either knight e5 and then bishop e2, knight f3, or queen f3. There's no bishop e2. Knight e5. Actually, I'm threatening. Hang on. I'm threatening queen g4. I've noticed something. Queen g4 was threatened there. Yeah, it's potentially winning for white in the end game, the 2-1. But before the end games, the middle game should be fun if I can keep the queens on and go for a mating attack. Right, d7's not hanging just yet. Queen d6 I don't think is entirely destructive just yet. Although I feel I've lost the grip a bit in recent moves. Okay, queen d6, rook c8. If I can get knight e5 to f3, that'd be cool. Queen d6 there's knight f3, there's queen c7, protecting h2. There's nothing really changing the picture on that. Let's go to g4 instead, maybe. Or, hang on. Alright, there's rook d7, the centre, rook d here, centre. Go via the centre, because I can't go via c8. Okay, if the queens come off, I don't think I want the queens coming off. I'll play g6 on queen g2. Okay, I'm losing the plot. I'm losing my queen side along with the plot. Keep losing my queen side. b5, rook c5. I'm wondering, okay, if I can sacrifice that with rook d2, rook b6, knight e4. Pig's on the 7th, pig on the 7th. The expression eats a lot. A pig on the 7th. Apparently some GMs use this expression, pig on the 7th, as well as amateurs. Knight e4. Maybe it's just an expression which is more popular in America than the UK. Pig on the 7th. Anyway, so with the pig on the 7th, rook f1. I can play knight f2 here, winning the queen. It's an interesting idea to play queen, but it's flawed, isn't it? I just play this, winning the queen. I think it's flawed anyway. Just winning the queen with queen e4 to follow. Okay, so bishop g4, queen e4, or queen e4 check here. Queen g2. Yeah, interesting. Okay, thanks. I'll play. I feel like playing a really dull system now, like the London system, because I am. Well, no, I can't do that to you. I'm going to play it with bishop g5, much more exciting. So that triangle against the bishop. I've used this in an over-the-board game recently. Against a 190 ECF. I'm over 200 at the moment ECF, by the way. Just about. But yeah, I had this game where I played this system because in the previous over the board I was so horrified by my my position out of the Vienna game that I thought I needed something more stable and solid. And this kind of setup is generally as long as I don't start creating weaknesses all over the shop, generally it's more stable and solid. I'm wondering if b4 can be justified. Now, if a5, b5 and a4 to follow, gives my queen b3 without my a5. And just x-ray the queen here. On knight h5 I can put the bishop on h2. I don't know how to describe this bishop. There isn't an adjective, I think, created in chess yet for the bishop lurking on h2. It's really annoying for black to have this bishop lurking on that diagonal. Annoying bishop? I don't know, adjective for the bishop on h2 here. But I think actually this is one of the main reasons for playing the London system, is to have this bishop on h2. It just sits there, just waiting to be useful. I could put this bishop waiting to be useful, and yes, I'm expecting my opponent to do something in this game at this rate. Okay, so what is my opponent going to do though? It's going to torture me with the rooks. There is bishop c4 trying to tease some weaknesses. Unless it falls into rook c4, knight c4, bishop d5. Might do. Okay, better move. I better move something sometime. With knight d2, b5 to follow. So I'm not sure bishop c4 is actually possible, actually. I know. I'm ready to challenge the c2, the rook on c2. Rook c3, queen b2. I can take it on c2. I'm starting to wish I had played e4. Actually, bishop d5 was winning the exchange. Have I completely lost the plot with rook a2? I think I did. Okay, the idea was rook c2 takes, but yeah, bishop d5 was simply winning the exchange. I think the problem for me in this position, well, there's a few, is that d5 is actually quite good for black. It echoes in the variations. D5. I'm trying to get nearer to the screen so I get a bigger view of the board here. If I get nearer to the screen. Okay. Bishop D3. Knight take. Oh, there's knight C. I can lose the exchange in different ways. I can have double pawns. That's not good. Queen B3. Just trying to run away. Rook C3 is trapping my queen. Oh, this is great. Oh, this is just great. Is that knight E1? Rook takes F2, queen takes E4. Do I have the nerve to play knight E1? That's the question. The hunted might become the hunter. Is that the hunter, or is this the hunter of this situation? The thing is, I noticed about that position is on bishop D3, he could just take on F3 and take on H3. Alright. My stability is at risk. Hang on. Okay, he can win an exchange back. That's fine. It relieves some of the pressure. This is how the London system isn't that good when the opponent is refusing, absolutely refusing to create any weaknesses. You end up... Okay, little gift there. Back to E4. And back in a moment. Back to E4. Oh dear. I hated this game. I hate this game. I'm going back to E4. I can't do this to you. I can't do this to me. This London system business. Let's going back to thanks for the game, but I'm going back to E4 after that. It's more fun. No, when it's fun, right? I'll tell you what's really fun about playing a solid thing. Because you want to play that against the exciting players that will try and make it fun. What they'll do is try and create play, and to do that, they're going to create weaknesses. So you're sitting there with a solid position, and the opponent, call it a Rajabov, a Shirov, your opponent is going to go crazy whatever happens. And that's ideal. The solid players, they lap that up, the Kramniks. That's what they do. And everyone's aware of that, kind of. That the solid players are particularly effective when the opponents are creating loads of pawn weaknesses. Yeah? But when they don't, you get nothing. You get nothing. You're on the verge of a draw. I mean, you're on the verge of, you're trying to equalise. Okay, so anyway, that's how it is. That's how it is. Okay, but anyway. The opponent didn't create massive, structural concessions. And there was nothing. There was nothing there. I was just worse. Okay, so now here, okay, E5. Yeah, I've got that bishop pair. It does seem awkward. Does seem a little bit awkward, this configuration. That C4 could be a target. Okay, I'll wait for a moment before addressing C4. I'll wait till it's hit. Again, knight A5, B3. Because if the knight goes to A5 and I play B3, then E5 hasn't got enough, as much pressure on D4 if the knight's on A5. If I played B3 immediately, then E5. Having said that, I'm tempted now. To allow E5 here. D5, E4, I can take. I'm not losing the C3 knight immediately. Knight D4, on the other hand, is a right pain. Can I take and then knight E4? I'm hitting D6. On F5, well, I can take on D6. I'm not losing E2 just yet. So I'm hitting d6 here. I'm not threatening knight f6. The e2 bishop. Need to move the e2 bishop. The knight's got g3. Okay, so I've succeeded in doubling the pawns here. Or my opponent has. Knight c5, I'm hitting the queen. I'm threatening knight c5, potentially winning the queen for 2 bits. Queen has to get out of there, but she has to hold on to d6. On queen e7, again, I don't know, knight c5 might be winning b7 there, hitting d6 again on queen e7. Again, it looks as though knight c5 is interesting. Winning b7 and hitting d6. Yeah, I think I'm going for knight c5 here. I think that's not entirely trivial, winning b7, because it's on d6. Okay, so knight d6 taking e4, or knight d6 e4, or g3 f4. Knight's also got a5. I wonder if I can play f4 and king g2 and just play knight a5 c6. So knight a5 c6. Although f4, f3, am I worried about that? What about bishop e4 as minimum? I can try and defend that anyway. f3, bishop f3. This form pawn. I'm losing g3. That was a slight thing not to do, which I've done. Whoops! Oh crikey! What have I done? Muppets. Didn't need to allow that. I started falling asleep in this game. Didn't need to allow that. Okay. And get rid of this bishop. Trying to compensate for my. I've got 3 monitors here. The middle one is set at high resolution, much higher than my other place. Actually, the board's pretty tiny. I'm trying to. The reason I'm looking at the board more closely now is to try and, in a way, zoom it. Okay, rook takes g5, bishop e4, or bishop h5, knight e3. Lose the exchange. Got loads of passed pawns there after d6. It's probably worth it to simplify. These passed pawns look amazing to me. The fact is I'm holding e2 for the moment, although there's rook f2 check. Rook f2, king g3, e2, rook e1. Doesn't bother me. So e2 is possible there. Okay. I'm just looking at these glorious passed pawns in this position. C6. Yeah, I'm threatening C7 now. I just use that as a way of simplifying, actually. I just look, the passed pawns just seem to be crying out for me to play that like that. Alright, thanks for the game, Toast Tank. Iron Manth. So this is a 3-minute game. There is a lot of queue. There's a huge queue, and we're like we're over the scheduled 1.5 hours. By the way, I just thought I'd make a note of that. So I'm happy that the show is popular and people get a chance to play me. I really actually enjoy this show. Genuinely, I don't know how I can say that. I don't know, but I do. You know, I mean, okay. So 98 to C7. Although, because of my gigantic ego, yeah, I don't like it when you guys crush me game after game. No, that's when I'll kind of close the show out. Yeah, my gigantic ego sometimes gets in the way of the Blitz Banter sessions. I must admit, yeah. So I'm trying to put that in check this week. My gigantic mega ego. I hope it's not too apparent this week. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, yeah. Okay. Rook B8, Bishop A8, B5. Okay, Rook B8, Bishop A8, B5. Now I try and acknowledge, on a serious note, I try and acknowledge if the opponent has had a fantastic game. I'm saying that. You know, I was lucky. You know, when I say I'm lucky, I'm lucky. I mean, you try your best in chess. You know, you're going to make mistakes. You're going to play terrible moves. You try your best, and you try and just, for me, you just try and dig in and find the resources. It doesn't matter if you're losing, whatever. Just try and dig in and find the resources. You might find that helps to improve your results over the board. Just try and be as resourceful as you can, basically. So just dig in there, yeah. In over the board, we had this match recently. One of our players, we already had 2 defaults trying to get there in the North Circular League, but one of our players was playing like a knight and 2 pawns against the queen, and it was increment, and he still managed to win it. It was just total resilience. That's what you have to do. You just have to fight sometimes, and just believe that you can. Because otherwise, because the thing is, we're not playing computers, right? Because computers, unless they're turned off or have bugs in the software, you know, they're not generally going to falter. But when you're playing humans, I think you just got to try and find the resources and try and keep calm and try and just look at what trump cards you have in the position. Yeah. Okay, so now here, you know, F7 is actually a really big problem, it seems. What am I doing with F7? Okay, I can shield it for a moment and get mated with Queen H4 after. Isn't that fun? Interesting. What about Bishop D4? Doesn't that just win the Queen? Hold on a sec. That Queen was so good for Queen H4. Sometimes you're in a defensive mindset, what the Queen's doing, but actually can be pinned. Yeah. Okay. If I move the queen, keep the pin, or just take the queen. Let's be simple about it. Shall I just take the queen with check and move the queen? Alright, so knight d6, knight e5, going into g4. If I give back some material to get an attack, so knight b7, knight g4. I want h2 and f2. So if rook f1, queen h2 is mate, if the rook moves, I get a nice attack. It's only a 3-minute game. Alright, I can take it here. I thought you'd just take the bishop. I was hoping to play knight g4, but that's no, hitting the rook at least. Why don't I just take the rook out of interest? Alright, so rook f4, queen g3. Okay, yeah, thanks for the game, IMF. Zoom missed. So it's a 5-minute game. Going into a Maroczy binds setup. Although I can't resist h4, it occurred to me I can play h4 here. Okay. I think in blitz chess, such figs are more effective. So queen d2, bishop h6. There's problems set here for the h-file pressure, which okay, I don't want double pawns. Can I actually castle queenside? I'm wondering about castling queenside and then knight d5. King b1, rook c1, rook d1. If I put the rooks like this for a moment, I'm wondering about, okay, let me see, the e4 pawn is yeah, vulnerable. This diagonal's a bit vulnerable. Rook hd1, queen c2, knight d5. Alright, what I'm concerned about is okay, knight b5 loses e4. Yeah, I'm under pressure here. Queen a5 coming up. If I can hold the e4 pawn with f3, okay, queen a5, yes, I'm being attacked. Knight, okay, I'm being attacked. At least e4 is more stable. Can I play knight d5? Does it do anything? What about bishop d2? Knight b4 a3. What about knight d5 hitting the queen? I wonder if b3 or knight b5 here. Maybe bishop c3 or knight d3. I wonder, bishop c3, rook c3, knight a4, rook a3 in that position. It seems as though I'm trying to parry a lot of pressure here in this game. It could be looking up with rook a3. Things could be looking up with rook a3. Queen b6. Maybe even swing the other rook to b3. Okay, this position is a nice pin. I'm wondering queen c2. If b3, there's knight c3 check, dragging the knight away. and then queen a3. If I play queen c2 instead, this looks like a very unfortunate pin at the moment. Knight a4, rook takes. Yeah, knight e5. Let's go with knight e5 as a try. So b3, knight c3 is possible. Check. Because it's on my queen. Okay, here we go. Queen c2, rook c4. Oh, that's really unfortunate. For me, I seem to have... Oh dear, is there a move here? Rook c1, rook c4, rook c4, rook c1, rook c4. If queen b5, rook c8 check wins the queen. Okay, rook c1 might be playable. So to run that through again with you, rook takes, rook takes. If queen takes, rook c8 check, I think is cool. And here now I've got rook takes c3. This is a key difference. Knight c3. I've got rook takes c3. So I don't have to retreat the knight, which is holding the rook. Again, I'm holding c3. I'm wondering if c takes. Although knight c3 wins the rook. If I play rook takes, there's rook a5. I think it's... Oh, let's have a look at this. I think the position's okay anyway. Oh, knight c4 wins the queen. My bets. Knight c4. Knight c4. Okay. Oh man. Where's the bunny ears? Oh man, knight c4. Why did I go there allowing knight c4? Sorry. This is too much pressure on my position for me to cope with here, it seems. Oh no, let's just lose the pawn. Let's take these ears off. I'm actually playing too much like a bunny when I put them on. That's the problem with the bunny ears, I've noticed. Oh no. They're not funny. They actually cause me to play like a super bunny. If I was playing like a bunny before the ears go on, I play like a super bunny after. Can I at least try and win on time? I know that's terrible, but it's the only thing I can do in this position. This has been a terrible game. I thought this game was big trouble. Go away. Right, is that knight not catching up? Just in case. Okay, sorry. I just want to apologise. I want to apologise to all viewers. Okay, I'm an idiot. Okay, I'm a patzer. I'm a bunny. I put on the bunny ears. I get to be a worse bunny. Okay, no. I thought I was looking at a few things. Things seem to be going well. I seem to be seeing some stuff, but when it came to it, I went right into a fork. I know, it's terrible. I went right. So anyway, on that note, let's play 2560 on that note. Yeah, okay. This is a really good peak of my playing strength. Let's play a 2560. Yeah, okay. So King's Engine. G4. Wonder if this knight d2 to c4. If I get to play g4, is that any good? What was that? What happened there? Oh, e5. Oh, that's the pre-move. I set. Yeah. All right. Can I play knight takes d5? Well, there's knight c6. I think it's too dangerous. Knight c6. If I play this instead. Yeah, this e5 break is probably exposing my weaknesses significantly, unfortunately. I think that was a good break to play. Yeah. Can I play this? I wonder if I can get knight d4 to try and relieve some pressure, or rook c8. Rook e6 needs to be factored in, trying to weaken the light squares a bit more. Rook c8, c7. Do I get to play knight d4? Is actually knight d4 any good? Okay, what's happening? If I played rook e8, right. Prepared to counter sack with rook c7. I play rook f7, but I'm prepared to counter sack with rook c7 just to get rid of that pawn. Is 95 possible? Take. With this rook to be able to counter-sack that pawn. He wins d5 there. Play e5 just to c7, rook c8. If I get out of the way here for a moment, or rook f8 maybe. There's no knight d5 just yet. Well, the rook's protecting the queen. Right, this might be good on the dark squares anyway. To have better dark square control, counter whatever. Okay, the e6 is runnable. Rook c7, bishop c4. I think bishop. I think I'm in trouble. Oh, I didn't see that. That wins. Okay. Yeah, that was really good. Well played. Well played. Yeah, I thought I was in trouble. It looked pretty, as I couldn't defend it. Basically, that can't defend the position. The feeling. Okay, well played. Okay, Olaf. Actually, okay, Olaf. Yeah, I think when you play G5, that E5 is great. That was a great one, E5. So in response, because I've weakened myself already, so it's just a great way of getting access to weaknesses. That break in the center. Very thematic. I should try and play more solidly against the high rates. I think in general policy. Not G5 asking for it. I think I was optimistic about G4, but yeah, E5. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, back to this game. So F4, G5, Knight G6, that sort of thing. Oh, Knight B5, Knight E8. Right, I have to kick these guys away and then carry on the king side. So it's good that there's no extra way to put pressure on D6. Well, I've got Rook F6 as well. Is there a knight sack? Okay, I'm wondering if I just carry on here with actually Knight F6, G4, Knight G6. Oh, am I too late? I'm too late. It's too late there. I don't like losing the light square bishop like that. Ain't gonna hit that. So Knight G6 and Knight H4. Alright, this G file looks pretty tasty. Rook G8 and then and fun times I think ahead with Bishop F8. I'm hoping a bit of fun to be had here. So Bishop F8, G takes. If Queen takes, Knight G4. G takes? Or G takes? It looks there's some convergence here on key squares. Maybe takes and Queen H3. Or G. I wonder if G3 really might actually have some venom behind it. Well, it's not the sort of thing to do really in a hurry because it's sort of blocking everything. Might be more to the point to play Knight H5 with lurking threats of Knight G3. At some point could be handy. Ah, okay. Alright, so here, okay, my queen's a little bit restricted. Knight F2 is happening. There's Rook G5. Well, there's F3 here. What about just f3 and then knight f4 becomes available. I mean, that looks fairly thematic. Just to take in a knight f4, take it from there basically. I think, well, there's queen g7 minimum. Queen f2, there's knight h3. Queen f1, there's queen g7. Let's imagine queen f1, queen g7, king h1. Is queen f1? Actually, this rook, just bring this rook in for a moment. Rook g8. Still looks pretty tasty. Right, there's knight h3 here. If knight e7, it could be a pain. Well, there's rook g8 check. If knight g4, there's probably rook g4. Queen g4 for queen e4. If queen h3, there's rook g1 there. I'm wondering, knight h3, knight e7, rook g1, win the queen, take. I'm tempted. I'll do it. On turn here, takes queen h3, knight g3, wins the queen. Alright. So my point here was rook g1. So technically, I think I'm material up. I was wondering rook g1 there for rook g7, okay, but anyway. So we can f5 a bit. There's actually queen f5 here for knight g3. That endgame is actually okay, I think. Be a pawn up. Queen f5 for knight g3 is a pawn up. It could be worth the simplification. These pawns are on light squares away from the bishop. D5 is weak, actually. I can hit D5. B4. I get to play King G6 here, or I'll stop that entry of the king. Okay, I've got my two connected pass pawns here in the centre. If I can play H5, I'll be happy with King F5 after. Another pawn away from the bishop as well. Alright, so D5, D4, E4. Alright, it's good that the pawns are away from the bishop. All the pawns are away from the bishop. In fact, even the knight's away from the bishop. Okay, thanks for the game, Olaf. Sir Alex for the win, huh? FTW, I think that's for the winner. Okay, so Are we transposing into a King's Engine? I think we have. Another King's Engine. Oh, I wanted to play the knight g4 line actually. I should play the knight g4 line. Can I play this? Because it's might have the timing right for this, for e4 here, because I'm not entirely sure. But one line, say takes, queen takes, there's knight takes e4. It looks as though I might be getting away with this here. This could get me the light square bishop. So I can go into that f4 square. It seems a happy King's Engine position so far. If I can just liberate that King's Engine bishop. So knight f4, h6, g5. The centre's more closed than that recent other game, so I'm not sure I'll get smashed so easily here if I go for a direct kingside attack. Right, it's opening up the bishop anyway at minimum. If f3, then I can plonk my bishop on e5, and it's going to take a while to get to that bishop. Like c5, knight c4 takes e5, but f3, yeah, I mean I can consider bishop d4 as well, and queen h4. I'm happy with this bishop here. It's been kind of liberated. Stop c5. Weaken dark squares though. I think knight d4, bishop d7. That might be a little misjudgment to give up the light square bishop so easily actually. Hold on, he's not going into d4 straight off the bat. If I actually play queen h4, I'm leaning over the king side here for things like maybe even rook e5, g5, because the knights are not defending the king here. I'm wondering rook e5, g5. This is an extra sort of advantage I've got. This bishop. So rook g5 threatens bishop takes h3. Knight e2. Maybe there's bishop h6 or g5. Maybe, okay, decision point. Okay, I think g5 for the moment. Maybe bishop h6 and g4. That queen's a bit of a target if I play bishop h6 and g4. Is it not? Bishop h6, g4, take. Queen's kind of almost trapped. But anyway, f3 to follow or something, or rook h5 to follow. So bishop h6, g4 looks pretty tempting to me. Also swinging this rook in. So g4, I think it's fairly justified. In that it doesn't backfire that easily because the centre's pretty closed, I thought. Can I pin that knight before doing anything else? There's a nice pin on a fort. Can I nick this pawn? It will be check. I don't think there's any major issue with taking that pawn. Although knight d4 to f5. Knight f5. I'm losing the exchange, aren't I? Knight f5. Okay, I think knight f5 was a good move there because of that. Yeah, pin. Okay, anyway. Right, here the exchange sack looks good because I've got mobile pawns here and a great bishop. H5, G4, liberate the bishop further. H5, G4, queen moves something like F3, breaking the structure. I think it solves most of the problems of this exchange sack. I've got my extra pawn, but I've got the pawn mobility factor. Yeah, I think I'll still have pawn mobility if I took. I'm playing later for F5. I think it's a pretty safe bet, this ending. For F5, the pawn mobility I'm looking at. Is very attractive to me, this pawn mobility with G4. If he gives me the H file, that's dangerous. Right, E5 is holding its own. Oh, that G file might be more significant. Okay, H4 is possible because if it takes, king takes. H3 is possible with H2. If I establish a pawn on H2, G3, I think I just open up somewhere else later with C6 because they're holding down the rooks considerably. If I have a pawn on H2 and pawn on G3, I think all I need to do then is just play for C6 later. Alright, this is happening. And then I have a massive pass pawn protected on H2 here. I think I just play for C6 in this position. Oh, let's stop B5. Oh, hang on. Maybe I can play B5 to A4. Okay, that's as though putting me off. Should I be put off? Do I believe that? I don't believe that. I don't believe this because bishop G1. Thanks for the game. Yeah, thanks for the game. That's a fun one. The commutator. Commutative is a mathematical property, isn't it? For I'm mixing that up with something. Commutative mathematical property is how does that go? Oh, I've forgotten how it goes actually. Is it one side equaling the other? Don't know. Anyway, so okay, so C5 here. I'm going to play this gambit. I remember once someone playing who's quite good playing it against me. I'm maybe taking it to the extremes. This gambit. If he wants to take on E7. Just for a bit of play, it opens up the pieces. The problem with the pawns is that they get in the way, you see. So if you lose all your pawns, you'll find that pieces are so much better. Yeah, it's interesting to lose all the pawns. But in this case, also there's some dark square weaknesses volunteered in any case. So is it really wanting to take my poor little C6 knight, not doing anything? My poor little C6 knight has been picked on. Oh, E3. Yeah. Alright, I think there's knight D5 now. Well, this is pretty good news for me to win that e3 bishop, I think. There is actually an official gambit in the Siamish King's Engine, the Siamish gambit. I documented it recently as well on my YouTube channel when I talked about the named variations of the King's Engine. Yeah, there's a Siamish gambit which you do sack one pawn. It reminded me a little bit of Siamish positions. If I just lose e8 here, but I'm picking up that knight after. So I lose e8, but I pick up the knight. So it's 2 pieces for the rook there. I don't mind that. I suppose accidents could happen here with these knights. I'm trying to stop b4 there with that move. If I can hit c5 without it being able to be protected. So, example, rook c8. Looks as though there's no rook c1 at the moment. Alright, thanks for the game. Can we take that? Okay. I can't say the name. Okay, we're having a 3-minute game here. I literally, I don't know, I've had so many wins with this system in the last few months. Yeah, it's just a nice dark square teasing system because the pawns are on the light squares. The dark squares are a bit weaker than usual. I don't mind if I lose this bishop because f4 here, especially with that h3, f4 is great for a knight. In fact, I can play this the even spicier way of sacking on h3, I think. Keep the pin. I think bishop h3, queen h3, bishop f1, queen g3. King moves, bishop f2 is dangerous. Oh, I could play it with knight f4, but the knight f4, if that comes around, that's pretty good. So rook e2, there's queen f3, bishop g2, queen h5. But I think also in this position, knight f4, knight g4. So this knight's hanging as well. Bishop takes, knight takes, queen takes. But yeah. Weakness of the last move. Okay, so knight g4 to follow. Or this. Bishop h3, queen h3. Yes, this knight's tango, sometimes called the queen's knight's tango or the knight's tango. I think some repackaging of the line, I think there are some DVDs on it called the Knight's Tango. It's an interesting system. Black Knight's Tango. Black Knight because it's on a dark square. Yeah, I think Black Knight's Tango. Okay, thanks for the game there. There's still a ton of challenges this week. Even at this point, I think I got to stop at 3 because I got a coaching session in about an hour. So I think I'm going to make this the last game. But yeah, I hope you guys try and like the videos, please, not just on my channel but on the Chess24 channel. If you do like the show, I do try and play all the challenges, and I hope there's some entertainment and instruction in the show. Okay, I think this will be the last game because it's approaching 3 o'clock, and I got to prepare actually some stuff. And okay, let's see. H3 F5. This looks like a King's Indian style attack in reverse with F5 G4 Knight G3. Just an internal vote here. If 1 you thought it was fun the show, and 10 you can 10 boring. So on the spectrum of 1 being fun, 10 boring, just let me know here. That'd be cool. I'm going to play Knight G3 and G5. This is one of my favourites for... Sometimes one of my favourites. Can I play... I don't want the queens off here after Knight G3. Can I play... I wonder G5 and F6 and then E takes. So even if I lose my F pawn, I think I'm fracturing my opponent's pawns. Although there's Knight H5, F6, ED, G takes. That knight's a pain on H5. What I wanted to avoid, it hasn't worked like clockwork because of this D5. I must say, it's interfered with my plans. Okay, so I'm taking it a different path than what was originally intended. The knight's pretty an active piece actually on H5. This has become a sort of weird gambit actually now. D6 takes. I'm almost winning a piece there. I wonder. B4 knight moves. D6. If bishop takes, bishop takes. If bishop takes, D takes. It's almost winning a piece. I'm tempted. It looks as though D6 tactically is winning a piece. If I remove the protector, just play D6 here. Zwischenzug, as they say sometimes. Alright, it's a piece, but okay, I've lost a lot of pawns. I'm going to go back on this diagonal. There's Knight E5. Can I play D4 to stop Knight E5? Also, my pawns are a bit weak. I want to play Queen F3 eyeing the rook. Okay, so Queen F3 eyeing the rook. Okay, there's Knight D5 and Queen F3. Queen F3 CD, and he's still back on the E5. So I'm going to try and hold on to E5. Queen F3, if the queen wasn't protecting, then there'd be Knight F6 winning the rook. If the knight moves, well, it depends where it moves. This extra bishop, in theory, it should be okay. In practice here, I'm wary about losing my pawns, all my pawns going. Okay, so Queen F3 might be trying to win this rook at the moment. I don't like the 7th rank being attacked. It's not for me, this position isn't clear because of all these pawns he's got. What about, okay, knight b6 and h4. Oh, there's knight c7 here. Hang on, knight c7. That was a kind of weakness of the last move in that it blocked the queen. Knight c7 looks promising. c3 is not dropping. It does look like a promising move. If pawn takes, there's queen f7. If here, okay, let's imagine. As John Lennon would say, let's imagine. Okay, so queen c6, or not queen a8, queen c6, queen g4. There's rook g3. This rook g3 is the right pain, in fact. What about queen h5 for queen g5? For queen f4, that would eventually defend g3 from the onslaught of queen c3. Also hits the rook. I think queen h5 probably the best idea. If rook g3 is happening immediately, okay, it's not. Alright, there's rook, queen f4 to hold g3 and hit the rook, tying down the queen a bit. Threatening mate. It does a few things. Threatens mate on f7. I think that's good news. Okay. Alright. Thanks. Alright, remember to like the videos on YouTube. So not just the Kingscrusher channel, but on Tuesday it gets replaced. The link from the site. On Tuesday, the Chess 24 video. If you could show your support for the show, that'd be great. Much appreciated. I do like playing with you guys. I hope okay. Hope it was good this week. Anyway, thanks very much. Cheers then.